Hey guys, how's it going? I just wanted to film a quick video to talk about what's going to be happening over the next few weeks with session updates. So we'll be having a few things coming out on different platforms. Yeah, so regarding the timeline, we're looking at Emoji Reacts is going to be released today. So that's on iOS, Android, and desktop, so all platforms for Emoji Reacts. The ID blinding stuff, we have been rolling out releases that support ID blinding over the last couple of weeks. We're basically just waiting to get to a point where we can see that a lot of the versions that are currently rolled out through the Play Store, for example, F-Droid, all of the stores that we have analytics on, whether people are actually upgraded to a certain level. So for example, say if we enabled ID blinding when only 50% of clients were updated, it's going to break a lot of the older clients that haven't updated yet. So we're waiting till a sufficient amount of people update to turn ID blinding on for our official session open group servers. And then after we see, if that breaks too many clients, we'll tell the other open group operators, non-official open group operators, to upgrade as well. So yeah, we're thinking after the Emoji Reacts release, like maybe a week after the Emoji Reacts release, a lot of people will have upgraded at that point and we'll be able to switch on ID blinding on the official open group. So I think that's where the kind of release roadmap is looking for those two features. Yeah, so the original motivation for ID blinding was that we were having issues with essentially spammers coming into open groups, seeing the people that had recently conversed in the open groups and then messaging them about, some offer, to join some WhatsApp group, or, some sort of new pill that's going to do something to their hair or something like that. So we're seeing a lot of people coming into the groups like that. And the core of the issue was that we were exposing people's public session IDs when they were talking in groups, which means that spammers could just message them endlessly at that session ID once they had obtained it. So what we're doing now is, instead of exposing the user's actual session ID when they chat in a group or join a group, we're actually exposing what's called a blinded session ID. So it's essentially like a derived key based on your public key and the public key of the server. So it will stay the same on the open group, on every room in the open group server, but it won't actually be related to your public session ID, meaning that people can't look at your ID blinded key and work out what your real session ID is. So we think it's going to allow us to cut down a lot of that spam, because people won't actually have your real session ID, they'll have this kind of derived key. And we can do a lot of rate limiting on this, the session open group server side as well, when people actually send friend requests to you, because before those friend requests were happening outside of the session open group server. Now all of those friend requests / message requests where they're sending that first message and saying, do you want to message with me further, that actually travels encrypted through the session open group server now. So if we want to limit how many friend requests or message requests someone can send, we can actually do that at the session open group server level as well. So it kind of gives us, it removes the ability for someone to grab a session ID from an open group server, and also gives us more administrative control. And not just us, any other open group server operator that's out there, they'll be able to have more administrative control over how many messages people get. If you need to, say, solve a CAPTCHA before you send a message request, that can be done in the future. The way that we've done things allows that functionality to be added. So yeah, we're hoping it's going to cut down on some of the spam that's been occurring, or that was occurring before we turned off direct messaging because of this. So Emoji Reacts are probably a feature that you've seen in other messaging applications. It essentially just allows that when someone sends a message to you, you get a little kind of reaction bar, and you can send, like, say, a thumbs up or a smiley face or a 100 or an OK symbol. It just basically allows you to react with an emoji to a message. we thought it was a really cool feature. We use it a lot on the other messaging applications that we use day to day. Not everyone is on Session, unfortunately, so we still have to kind of get around using other messaging applications. And a lot of our features or inspirations come from taking cool parts out of other messaging applications and putting them into Session. So Emoji Reacts was something really cool that we saw on a bunch of other platforms that we wanted to include, and just gives you that kind of simple ability that you'd have on other platforms to react to messages. Yeah, so one of the differences when we were working with Emoji Reacts, or one of the challenges that we had coming up, was that platforms, or not actually the platforms, the different approaches we use to chatting have different solutions for Emoji Reacts. So for closed groups and one-to-one messages, we basically use the same solution, which was creating a new message type that can be interpreted by a client, which holds a reaction in it. But for open groups, because there's thousands of members in there, we actually wanted a bit more fine administrative control. We thought that maybe people could string together Emoji Reacts to cause like some offensive terminologies or something, like if they use the word Emoji Reacts or the letter Emoji Reacts. So we put a bit more administrative control on the Session open group server side, so the administrators can disallow certain Emoji Reacts, delete Emoji Reacts, or prevent a post from being emoji reacted to. So yeah, we had slightly different approaches there, and that caused a bit of, we couldn't use the same approach on both platforms, so it took a bit more development time to develop a solution for open groups, and then also to develop a solution for closed and one-to-one chats. But yeah, we got there in the end, and we think what we will come out with, and what you guys will see is a pretty seamless kind of use of Emoji Reacts in the application. Yeah, so we're looking at a few things in the next couple of months. I think the one that I'm personally most excited about is that we're overhauling closed groups, and I know it seems that we've overhauled, if you've been around Session a while, we've overhauled closed groups a few times. And every time we overhaul closed groups, I say that I'm feeling really confident, but I am feeling really confident about this one. We have spent a lot of time designing this, and in terms of the issues that we were having before, especially with, there's some really weird cases right now in closed groups. For example, zombie members, when you kick a member, if the administrator isn't online, they actually have to go in manually and kick that zombie member. And that was because we were having really big issues resolving kind of race conditions where two administrators would be online at the same time and someone would get removed. They'd both try and remove it, and there'd be all these races happening as multiple people tried to update the keys and stuff. Where we have a system now that we've designed to protect against that, and I'm really confident that it's going to work. So over the next probably 2 or 3 months, we'll be implementing closed groups, and that'll involve some server-side work that we're getting in at the end of this month. So on the Session, the Oxen storage server, I suppose, that's going in. And then that'll involve a bunch of client-side work, which we're working on too. I think the feature which other people are excited about the most, I'm a bit of a nerd in terms of that I really care about how closed groups work, but the one that we've got the most reaction on Twitter for is the theming, which is coming up. So that'll be like having different session themes. So currently we have dark and light, but we're going to introduce 2 more themes, which are ocean and day, I think the name of the other one is. And then you'll also be able to change the accent colors which come along with those themes too. So if you want ocean, which is kind of like the blue-y one, but you want it with like a pink accent color, you'll be able to do that. And I think people are really excited about this one, going off what Twitter is looking like. We're also doing a few menu redesigns. I know some people who are new to Session, they grab the app and they try and add someone and they can't work out exactly how it's working, so we're streamlining that process a bit more. And there's stuff, well into the future, like LokiNet integration, which we're working on, which is looking really good as well. So yeah, lots of features. Hope you guys are excited as I am for them.